I'm not driving you anywhere.
Yes, you are.
Ooh.
Drive me. Come on.
What do you think this is?
My world. Okay, I can do whatever I want. Yeah, you're my boyfriend, and if you're not setting the standards in which I'm happy with, then you can leave.
You do what I want. You're my boyfriend. I own you. Sounds like abuse, but it's not. It's empowerment because it's a woman that's setting the standards. Of course, if a man was to say, be kind, be feminine, that would now be abuse. That's him being controlling. Because in this culture, only women are allowed to set standards for the opposite gender. In days past, men and women held standards for each other. It was reciprocal, and in that process, they defined each other's value. Women said what they wanted in a man, and men did the same, and that's healthy. Later on, I'm going to explain why. But right now, what's important for you to know is that that is not the world that we currently live in.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Because in the modern female mindset, a man believing that he has the right to evaluate her worth as a woman, that is offensive by definition.
Why?
You see, feminism rewrote the roles for men and women, and judge of women is nowhere in a man's job description.
Why? Because as I've been telling you for years, feminism is actually female supremacy. And female supremacy works in exactly the same way that white supremacy works, which means that a modern woman whose mind has been corrupted by feminism/female supremacy, she sees men in exactly the same way that a white supremacist, racist redneck in the Jim Crow South of segregation would have seen a nigger.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
That is the logical parallel that explains everything you need to understand modern women, modern dating, and modern relationships. And then you will be able to make an informed decision on whether or not you want to go your own way. More on that later.
Of course, judging men and their worth is at the top of a woman's list. For many women, holding men accountable is not just casual commentary, it's a moral crusade. They enjoy the process of cracking the whip.
I told you so.
Making sure that men behave, always acting the way that women want them to. They feel like they are performing a sacred duty to correct, critique, and control how men behave.
Just as the white supremacists of the Jim Crow South and apartheid South Africa saw it as their sacred duty to correct, critique, and control how the inferior races, the blacks and the browns and the Jews, behaved.
You see, they're not ashamed of holding strict standards, they celebrate it. But as you can see, if you look at men's role in today's society, judging women is not on that list. In fact, if a man was to offer up the mere suggestion that a woman has duties to a man, that is highly controversial and likely to anger women.
Well, no fucking shit.
Covert feminism in society is big, especially on the conservative side. So here's what happens, right? Women need to have feminine virtues for men to be pursuing masculine virtues, for you to say things like, well, men, what I want is for men to protect me and I want men to make money. Well, that's great. What that ends up doing is it gives you a set of privilege in society. What do men get? What do men get for doing that for you? What are we getting from women for doing that? Are we getting chaste virgins on our wedding night? No, we're not getting chaste virgins on our wedding night. Are we getting women of great virtue? No, we're not getting women of great virtue. Their version of masculinity is men who take care of us, men who protect us, men who do all of this. Those are all duties that men have towards women. Great. What are the duties that women have towards men? What are the duties that women have towards anything? What do men get out of this arrangement? What are we getting out of this arrangement? Can you tell me?
Most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Do that. Protect, provide, meet my standards, jump my hurdles, pass my tests. But if you want something in return, not a real man. It makes women so angry when you ask them what they contribute to a man's life. And if you want to know the truth, deep down, the real reason why women get so triggered when men express preferences for how women should behave, it's because it sets off a chain reaction that leads to an outcome that modern women find repulsive.
I told you so. As you can see from the diagram, the thing that modern women find repulsive about men setting standards for them is equality. And in exactly the same way that a white supremacist, Jim Crow racist, or a white supremacist, apartheid racist would find it repulsive for a kafir or a nigger to set standards for a white person because it implies equality between whites and blacks. And that is the absolute anathema to a supremacist. A supremacist is my gender or my race is superior, your gender, your race is inferior. And so when the supposedly inferior gender or race sets a standard for how the supposedly superior gender or race is supposed to act, the supposedly superior gender or race finds it repulsive because it implies equality between the genders or equality between the races.
Why so many modern women are terrified when men express any kind of preference. You can see here she doesn't like men having standards because standards implies accountability. That's dangerous because accountability implies reciprocity, and reciprocity implies equality. And that's it. That's what's dangerous. That is what modern women cannot stomach. I'm talking about a visceral bodily reaction of disgust. The idea that a man considers himself to be my equal, really, an equal, a man to me, a woman. No, absolutely not. A man says, I think I prefer to date feminine women. And she freaks out because she knows what that implies. If he expresses a preference, then that means that he is comfortable setting standards for women. I can't let him do that because if I do, then that means I have conceded that women can be held accountable to those standards. It's my job to make sure men are accountable to my standards. But if we're both doing that to each other, then that means that this relationship is reciprocal. And if we're both mutually judging each other, then that means that we must be equals. No, as a modern woman, I cannot accept that a man is my equal.
Does height matter?
Of course it does.
Step on the scale.
I'm not going on a scale. You should love a girl for who they are.
You should love a guy for who they are, regardless of height.
That's true.
So take it back then.
And I'm not taking it back.
Step on the scale.
No.
You're being a coward.
Weight, you're ridiculous. You don't need to know an exact number.
You don't need to know an exact height.
All you gotta know is that they're taller than me, and that's it.
Okay, I want you to be lighter than me. Step on the scale.
No.
Men keep thinking that women are going to be embarrassed when they're caught in their double standards. But you don't understand, these women are not going to be ashamed of their hypocrisy because that would assume that they feel some kind of moral obligation to treat men as equals. They don't. I'm telling you, in the mindset of the modern woman, women are superior to men.
I told you so.
I do think that women are better in every way.
Feminist is somebody who thinks women are equal to men. I'm probably this. I think women are better than men.
I think women are better than men. And I'm not asking for equality. I'm honestly hoping for revenge.
You know, I still have women who tell me that feminism is about equality. But look at the roles of men and women in today's society and tell me, does that look equal to you? If this was truly about equality, then why is the concept of men having standards for women so threatening? When you say that you want a man to be tall, wealthy, masculine, confident, sure, equality means men are allowed to want women who are thin, who are feminine, soft-spoken, and sexually unspoiled. If that makes you angry to hear that, then just admit it. You don't want equality. What, you can't admit that? No, I'm not surprised because to actually confess this would require a level of courage that very few modern women have. But since you won't tell the truth about how you actually see the world, Let me break it down for you. Fellas, let me show you the society that these modern women actually want. They want a world with unilateral female sovereignty and uncontested male servitude, where female moral authority is unquestionable and absolute. Women define what is good, what is bad, what's right and wrong. They become the moral compass of society. And if a woman is offended, then society must adjust. Men are expected to provide resources for women, and they are also required to desire and pursue women, regardless of how they act or dress or what values they hold, or whether or not the man gets anything in return. Progress in society is defined by things improving for women, and all problems are to be blamed on men. Your job is to listen to women, to not speak, and if you do not sign up to the permanent male guilt narrative, then you are a misogynist. I'm not speaking about this like some science fiction from the future. This is the world that many modern women already inhabit.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Sorry, Alexander. It's not the world that many modern women already inhabit. It's the world that 80% of men in the West already inhabit. The men who are not famous actors, rock stars, celebrities, professional athletes, or chads. 80% of men in the West already inhabit a world dominated by unilateral female sovereignty. Just ask any man who's been fed through the meat grinder of divorce court or family court or domestic violence disputes or false essay accusations. Thank you, God.
He is the one.
A society of uncontested male servitude already exists. Just ask any man dumb enough to get married.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
A society where female moral authority is unquestionable and absolute, where women define what is good and what is bad, what's right and what's wrong, and women are the moral compass of society, and where if a woman is offended, society must adjust, already exists for 80% of men. Just ask any man that has consumed any media coming out of Hollywood or the major TV networks or the major streaming services or social media that is not classed as the manosphere.
You're goddamn right.
A society where men are expected to provide resources for women already exists. Only broke boys want to go 50-50 or take a woman on a coffee date. And a society where men are also required to desire and pursue women also exists. Why don't men approach us anymore? They must be intimidated because we're so strong and independent. Or they must be gay if they don't desire and pursue women, us goddesses, regardless of how we act or dress or what values we hold or whether or not we bring anything to the table. We are the table.
Meaning? You're a whore. You'll always be a whore.
That's the way you want to put it.
I don't have some way to put it. That's the way it is.
A society where progress is defined by things improving for women already exists. That's why Trump's election, which threatened women's ability to use women's reproductive health as a contraceptive, was treated like Armageddon.
That's a good point. You've got a good point.
And a society where all problems are to be blamed on men already exists. Even the fact that ran through post-wall boss babes can't find men who want to marry them and have kids because they believe the feminist/female supremacist lie that men are attracted to the same thing women are attracted to. So they should focus on their education and their careers during their 20s and early 30s and put off marriage and kids till their mid-30s when they're older, infertile, educated and wealthy, and men will desire them even more than they did when they were young and fertile and uneducated and broke.
I'm starting to think almost 98% of women are retarded.
Even that is men's fault. because men should be attracted to the same things women are attracted to. And the fact that they aren't is creepy and sad and patriarchal and weak. And they aren't real men, blah, blah, etc., blah, blah, etc., ad nauseum. And the society already exists for 80% of men, that if you don't feel guilty for failing and letting down the empowered modern woman, you are an Andrew Tate supporting, manosphere brainwashed misogynist.
Misogyny. I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you something. We don't care.
And they sincerely feel victimized when they hear a man express preferences because they have been brainwashed into this feeling of entitlement, like they deserve this female utopia where women rule and men know their place. And she's angry if the current world ever fall short of that standard. Any hint from a man that says that he thinks that he deserves to be able to express preferences for what he's looking for in a woman the same way that women do for men, that makes her feel like she is being personally attacked. It doesn't matter if she actually lives up to his specific preference. Like if he says, I like to date women who have long hair, and she has long hair, she's still going to be offended, because what you've got to realize is that the objection from women here is not about men expressing any particular preference. It's the very nerve of a man to have the audacity to express any preference, to assume himself to be her equal. That is what is intolerable.
To the incels who said I would be way hotter if I lost like 5 pounds, yeah, you're literally right. But I don't remember asking for a stinky man's opinion. So go to war and die already. That's all you're good for.
When even Alexander Grace, the ultimate controlled opposition, blue-pilled shill, making a fortune out of shoveling red-pilled men into the gynocentric meat grinder by giving them hope that there are enough good women out there that they can live happily ever after with.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
Low class.
When even he acknowledges that modern women are female supremacists, then you know it's true. And he has vindicated what I've been saying for the last 3 years. Modern women are female supremacists. So bearing that in mind, let's talk about the best options for red pill men moving forward. 5% of modern women that could be considered relationship material are not odds that are worth pursuing.
Agreed.
If you like a 1 in 20 shot and you are prepared to give your time, money and attention finding that 1 in 20 shot in the hopes that you can have a healthy long-term relationship with her, given the fact that even that 5% of, let's call them marriageable material, even though you'd be insane to get married given the current marriage laws and divorce laws, let's call them marriageable material, even that 5% at any time in the next 25 years can be corrupted by their friends who are divorced, can meet a Chad or an ex-boyfriend and get the tingles, get wet, and sleep with that Chad or that ex-boyfriend, because you have to remember, with a woman, women are only loyal to their feelings. Women cannot be loyal to a man or their family or anything else. Women are only loyal to their feelings. They're absolutely run by their feelings, which is why a woman who's been married for 20 years can go on a girls' trip and meet some Mandingo Tyrone Chad and end up fucking him and continually putting it back in when it slips out, and then go back home to her husband. Even the good ones can do that. So from a genuine MGTOW red pill point of view, it is malpractice to encourage or suggest that men in 2025 should pursue long-term relationships. It's absolute malpractice for a red pill channel to do that. And that's why I dislike Alexander Grace as much as he makes great videos, making great points that I can use to make the point that should be made by a Red Pill channel, which is, now that you understand the depth of corruption of the female mind in the West, such that they are all female supremacists and view men in the same way that a white supremacist views a black person. Now that you understand that, can you see now why the only winning move, the only sane move, is to go your own way? And what that means is, it doesn't mean that you never have sex with women anymore, even though that would be my advice, but that's because I'm a MGTOW monk of 4 years and I've had plenty of women and I know what comes with dealing with women, and I prefer my peace, I prefer my joy, my creativity, I prefer a fulfilling and meaningful life, and you can have all of those things without women. But I understand that younger men than me, I'm 58, so men in their 20s and 30s and even their 40s still want to sow their wild oats, as we used to say. So I'm not going to say you need to become a MGTOW monk. I'm just going to say that you need to forget about long-term relationships. You need to let go of the fantasy that a woman can make you happy.
Fatality.
That's what it means to go your own way, is to let go of the age-old fantasy that trapped men on the gynocentric plantation of indentured servitude to women. That if you give your life, your love, your protection, your provision to a woman, she will reciprocate.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
She will respect you and love you back.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, are you insane?
And give you love and support in return.
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
That is bullshit.
The bullshit of all bullshit, you scumbag.
Women are not capable of loving a man in the same way that a man loves. Men are in love, women are in business. That is the ultimate understanding of the red pill. Women are only loyal to their feelings. They're not loyal to you. So long-term relationships make no sense for men.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
If you want to have situationships, friends with benefits, fair enough. Sow your wild oats, but don't be dumb enough. Don't be mother wounded enough to project onto women the unconditional love your mother never gave you. Don't be dumb enough to project it onto a modern woman and see her through the same rose-colored glasses you saw your mother through, so that you, quote unquote, fall in love with her and commit to her long term. Because if you do that, you're just like every other blue-pilled simp out there, and you will get your just desserts, either in divorce court, paternity court, or on the streets as an alcoholic considering suicide.
Damn! He's out of line, but he's right.
Because that's where men end up when they make long-term commitments to a creature that is only loyal to her feelings. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.